Okie dokie. Hello, everybody. How is everybody's day? Let's do some witchcraft, shall we? Can't have witchcraft without tea. Well, now, what are we doing? What all is going on here? So, what are we doing? We are with clay. We are with dirt from Chimeo. It's a holy place where a saint came down and touched down. I'm actually going to do a little bit of research. I should have had this up and ready for you, but I was looking for something called the Ephesia Grammata. Those are the sacred letters, and those were actually engraved into a statue, and those are what I'm going to carve into this clay piece when we are done. Now, those are also, it's said to carry rolls of parchment wearing the Ephesia Grammata to give them magically heightened strength in combat. The Oski Kataski became the slang term for the Greek-speaking world. Hocus pocus. Ha! That's funny. All right, so I know I'm looking like a little bit scattered right at the moment. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, Chimeo. That is which saint touched down in Chimeo? That would be, it's been used for healing. And Chimeo and the bloody knees of Jesus. One of the Holy Experience. St. John's College in Santa Fe. A place called Chimeo, about 45-minute drive. Considered the Lourdes of America. So this is one of those things where having a bit of dirt or soil is just as important as having the water or having a little bit of the plant habit that we've been using. And so I'm going to be using my gloves today because I don't want to get all gross, because this is going to get a little gross. It's witchcraft. So why not get a little gross, right? And what is it that we're going to do? We are going to make a necromantic puppet. And what do I mean by a necromantic puppet? Well, isn't it just a clay doll? Well, yeah, but no. So we're going to take our little lump of clay. All right, lump of clay. Out come you. So we have our lump of clay. And now into this lump of clay, this is a piece of terracotta. Okay, so when this air dries, it's going to be very fragile. Now, what is it that I want to do to make this a necromantic piece? Well, I've got dirt from Jerusalem that goes onto here. I've got dirt from Chimeo that goes onto here. And so now you're saying to me, well, Brian, these are holy things. Why are you using holy things? Well, because the earth needs to receive, right? These are sacred things from sacred places. These are to make the dirt sacred, right? So that it can receive. What does it need to receive? Well, it needs to receive a spirit. Well, then you've got the sacred dirt, right? So now this is holy dirt, technically, because a little dab will do you, right? What is it that makes these things so special? Well, let me grab it because I didn't already prepare this because I'm a little bit slow. So we have dirt from the Garden of Innocence. Now, the Garden of Innocence is a project here in San Diego that for those stillborn babies, to give them a place of rest, right? And so we're mixing that in. Why? Because it's a place of rest. We're giving it a place of attachment, the land that's fit to receive the spirits, right? Not only is it Holy Land, but it is specifically for receiving spirit. Now, the question you have for me, I'm sure, is, okay, now that you've got all these wacky ingredients, where do you get all of these wacky ingredients? Well, my friends, Etsy, to be quite frank with you, all of my ingredients in this spell come from Etsy. Different witches from across the world. And so what is the purpose of being able to use these global components, you might ask? Well, because they allow for some really interesting shit. Stuff that you wouldn't otherwise have access to in just one city. Stuff that you're going to have the application of a variety of outcomes. And so now that we have holy dirt, right? You're going to say to me, well, Brian, now that we have holy dirt, right? What is the thing that makes it necromantic, right? What is the human element that takes the earth and gives us the clay that we get to mold with? Well, my friends, this is where it gets even more gross. This is why the gloves. This is a bottle. Inside of this is graveyard dirt with water and a human rib. Well, where did I get the human rib from? Osteological supply. A little of the water that's been washed in human bone. And thus we get our necromantic clay. And so we have holy necromantic clay, right? From the ribs, we can make new life. We get to make a golem, if you will, out of clay, something that is one of those really, really twisted aspects of magic that, if used improperly, will ruin an individual. But since we are, in this case, not using it for improper things, we are using it for the construction and education, right? And so we just shape ourselves a puppet out of clay. So actually, I'm going to do this a little bit deeper. There we go. And so what are we going to do with this? What is the spell in the end that we're going to do with this? This will be for the torso. And now, so if I was making one of these for a client, right, I would be using these ingredients and bonding a specific spirit to it. Or I would be, this would be the head. And so what is the purpose of using a totem like this? Well, like I said earlier, if you're going to be making funerary totems or things that are supposed to serve you in the other world, right? Like the prayer that I said the other day of the Ushabeti is that this shall be the thing to toil in the fields. If I am to toil in the fields in the other world, this shall be the thing that will assist in God's domain, right? So that I can continue to work as needed. Attach the head to this. And so the puppet that we make out of clay has its torso, right? And this will be a male figure. So we won't give it the pronounced breasts. How will it be a male figure? Well, we'll give it a penis in a little bit. So you've got, it doesn't take very long. So you've got your head that you roll out, and then you've got your torso. And then you've got your arms. Rudimentary, very rudimentary. Like there's no muscle definition on these. This isn't going to be fired, so I don't have to worry about the seams and the gaps. This is probably going to be mummified and buried. So what would you use a talisman like this for? Well, you'd use this for protection. You'd use this for, you know, giving to the other side that which needs to be given, right? You're giving it a form of death. You're returning something to the earth. You're using something from the earth to call it forth. So that way, as you produce something with this that resembles human shape, you know, it's what's your use for something like this? Why would you, as the individual magician, need to conjure something like this? Well, you could use this for something for protection of your house. You could turn something like this into a protectorate golem, you know, something that would be where you are not, so that way you could have those things which you need protected done so, right? And so it doesn't take very long to put one of these together. So you've got your torso with the two arms, right? And then if you were going to do this as a cursing doll, you would use coffin nails and implant them into various pieces of it while you're doing the formation of it. Now, this is going to have a lot of stuff left over, so I don't need to worry about the rest of this. All this stuff becomes, it's all going to be holy dirt anyway, so it's all necromancy stuff. It's not stuff that I'm using for cooking or crockery. And so we attach the legs. Right. And so you've got the legs that are attached. You know, apparently, technically, your legs start below your armpits. So we'll give that a foot. Right. And then we'll give this another foot. And so what would be the blessings that you would do to these? I consecrate this creature of clay in the name of heaven or in the name of earth, that it shall receive the spirit unto which it has not been given birth, right? Because we're using the garden of innocence, that it was never born, that it never get to come to life, that through this clay it might be brought to life, and through this life it might be able to serve in the principles of that which is divine, so that which is required might come forth and be brought to bear and manifest upon this earth in all the ways that I require, as is the thing that I desire, right? And so this becomes through that, right? And so therefore we have our little puppet. Make its legs match. So, and then you can get yourself a little necromancy doll, right? Blending all your parts together on the back so that everything is nice and seamless. And so that way what you've got on the back side is a writing surface. So this is where you would put symbols like an ankh, or you could put some runes on this. But the idea is that whatever you use in your little clay puppet here becomes your tool of necromancy. And so if you're going to make an effigy, what better way to make an effigy than to actually make a full-on effigy? Something simple like this works. You know, put the hands at the side if you want to. You can have it holding things if necessary. But something like this, like you give it humanoid features. It doesn't need to have humanoid features. You could actually add elements of animals to something like this if you don't have access to the human remains, to make it something that would be a spirit or some such like that. And so you can set something like this up as, well, yes, like I said, it's technically a golem. And by making something like this, you are connecting to something in a way that's not just modern century stuff. This is an old kind of magic where you're creating from the dirt itself to make your puppets. And so something like this can then be mummified. And what would you do? What would I do for this? Because this is a doll that's ready to receive somebody's name. It's ready to receive a specific thing, so that as you create your work and come to set stuff in motion, that I'm just fixing the feet a little bit here, that something like this can be made custom for an individual. And then what you can do too is, it's like if you've got to make something like this for a friend, then you just mail them the wrap it up in some damp tissue cloths, so that way it doesn't dry out too much. But and then if you've got like somebody who's got a particular profession or something like that, you could put a little toy something in their hand to represent that. You can use, this is an old school effigy, right? And I mean old school because it's not made in China. Like I said, this is dirt from holy locations, it's dirt from a graveyard, dirt from Jerusalem. So something like this, you have the means to make something that's really quite impressive when it comes to that next level of your practice. I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to use the Inca power to put the symbols and stuff on this when it's dry. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to take the rest of my holy dirt, and I'm going to put this back into the bag here, and I'm going to call that a day. So, my friends, it's only been 18 minutes, but we have a full-on necromantic clay puppet that is an effigy of a human. And its purpose and its property is to connect with the living principles. So if you're trying to make a doll, if you're trying to make an effigy of someone's practice of power, right? Like there's the blessings and the consecrations of the voodoo dolls, or the string puppets, or all of those things. Making the clay effigy is one of the oldest things that you can work with, right? And so just be aware that what you put into the clay matters just as much as working the clay into human form. Okay, so try to get some graveyard dirt. Try to find some of those places that sell the dirt and the oil and such from Jerusalem. Why? Because it's a holy place. Why would you want holy dirts mixed in with your clay? Is because it's a sacred thing that you're doing. You're playing with someone's soul, for fuck's sake. So you're ensouling it with the same, this is the blood, this is the liver, this is the vital breath, this is the cultivation between power, right? Like this is the stuff, as the books say, that man was formed through clay, through mixing in the sacred water, right? So we're recreating Marduk's act. The only thing that we haven't used is the blood of Tiamat, right? The blood of a dragon, right? Well, that'll be the ink when it's time. And so one little clay effigy can serve so many purposes. So we'll revisit this after a few weeks, but today is the day of illumination. Today is the day of Imbolc, if you're a Wiccan or Celtic or Celtic, however you want to choose to pronounce that. So, my friends, I'm going to say stay safe, stay sane, and just remember that the things that you use in your magic are just as important as those beliefs that you hold about those things and why it's important to use things that are sacred to others, not just yourself, right? It's because when we're using the spell of the day, it's about creating a relationship with the plants and the ingredients. What we've done today is we've used the dirts and the bones and the water and the clay to create something that means something to something else, right? It means something. And it's through that meaning we convey power and we convey attachment. So stay safe, my friends. And remember, something like this, please don't be evil. Please do not. Alrighty. I wish you the best. Stay safe, my friends. And I will see you tomorrow morning for the spell of the day. Bye for now, y'all.